pretty part of the conversation. So welcome to Monday Masterclass. It's really hard to pick your favorite people in the company. And she's going to be so thrilled to know that she's one of mine. My absolute favorites. We actually had to turn to our neighbors at the tables this weekend. We were at our Diamond, what were we at? Mastermind. And she goes, tell me what you love about me. and the thing is, I don't know that I could sit there, and I don't know that I could make a long enough list and tell you all the things. Let me tell you from the beginning. When I was gold, senior gold, ruby. So drop in the chat what rank you are right now. When I was around gold, senior gold, ruby, Tamara and I didn't even meet in person. I think we just met online through the fact that we were kind of like hitting ranks kind of similarly at the same time. Her in Arkansas, me in Texas. We were both new. Nothing like there weren't any big meetings we'd gone to. There wasn't anything where we'd all gotten together. And we just decided, she probably was kind and pursued me. And we decided that we were going to run together to Emerald before convention. And then we were going to run to Diamond by 14 months and all of these things. And I'm just telling you, having someone of this caliber of friend to lock arms with you and say, okay, now what are you doing? What are you doing today? It's like the person that's going, okay, what did you eat for breakfast? Okay, when are you going to go do your workout? And it's like the excitement of having someone say, this is the next thing we're going to do is so incredible. And so I will say Tamara's love and passion for the next big thing probably pushed me to Emerald faster than I probably would have gone. And it inspired me to continue to push. And every time she hits a milestone, something amazing. When you see someone else hit a milestone, you go, I can, it is possible. One thing we learned this weekend is after looking at Tamara and Jessica and Celeste and the people that have built, 3 of the largest teams, width and depth in our entire company, is that Dr. Cloud said, now you know it's possible. There is no longer the option of it not being possible. It's now completely possible. So I want y'all to sit back and get to listen to one of my dearest friends, the person I probably talk to the most that's not on my own team, the person I get to say all the honest truths about who I am to, but you also get to hear from one of the highest caliber, best top leaders in our entire company for a solid 40 minutes. And so we are going to get started. There you go, T.
Man, that's an introduction. First of all, thank you for having me. I truly am honored to be here. And let me tell you why. Because Andrea and Becky are absolutely dear to me, and they have taught me so much. Andrea's sitting there bragging on me, but I could brag about each of them the entire time I'm with you, because they have influenced me. They have encouraged me. They've been cheerleaders and they've been truth tellers in my life. And so I just want to preface everything I say with, you have amazing leaders who love you and care about you, and they absolutely want the best for you. I hear them talk about you behind your back. And so that means it's the truth. This is what they want for you guys. This is not about their own success. They really do want you to win. And so I am honored to spend time on this call with, goodness, about 40 of y'all. And I love seeing in the chat all these different ranks pop up. I saw diamond, sapphire, lots of gold, senior gold, some ruby, senior ruby. So I love that we have such a wide gamut here. And everything we're going to talk about applies. So when Andrea first asked me, she asked me to share my story, the good, bad, and all the in between. And so we'll start there. And then I really want to talk to you about what's been on my heart the past couple of weeks. It's just this one phrase that has been turning over and over in my mind. So first of all, if you don't know me, I'm Tamara Holloway, and I've been with Plexus for 9.5 years. Can't believe it. I started when I had a 2-year-old and 20 extra pounds of baby weight. I had done network marketing in the past, and it was a failure for me. And I say that because I worked for 2 years and had built up a $2,000 a month income. And I got pregnant with my first baby, and I was so incredibly sick that everything I had been doing for my business, making relationship connections, building my network, doing deliveries, doing parties, all that stuff got few and far in between. And I went from $2,000 a month to zero in less than 6 months. And so here was my thought about network marketing. That only works for like 2 people in every company. It's not a way to actually build a true income. I gave so much and I'm at zero in less than 6 months. So all that to say, I was skeptical about the business model, but at the same time, I was actually very intrigued by it because I loved seeing the people who I viewed as like the 2 or 3 lucky ones in each company living that best life, right? The bathtubs at noon, the fancy vacations, the financial freedom I would see. And so it was such a intriguing thing to me, but something that I didn't think was possible for me. So when I started Plexus, it was simply because I had 20 pounds I'd been holding on to. I was mystery shopping, you guys, for Papa John's Pizza, Arby's, Wendy's. It was no wonder that I could not lose this baby weight. I don't know why that didn't dawn on me, but it was a way for me to bring in some income and to feed my little family while my husband was in full-time school to become a physician assistant. So I was doing anything and everything I could to make ends meet so I could stay home with my daughter. So fast forward a couple years and I was in Target and I had been looking at Plexus. I had been reading some testimonies, but I did not really go in. I was just, just kind of watching, asking questions. But this lady came up to me, y'all, no lie, in Target, reached her little hand out towards my belly and asked me when my second baby was due. There wasn't no second baby. There wasn't. There was chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream at 10 p.m. at night while watching Netflix and all my Wendy's Papa John's meals that I was eating almost on a nightly basis. And so I came home that night and put my skepticism aside and I ordered the double welcome pack. I had already been talking to a neighbor about it, even through my skepticism about the products. And so I called her and I said, all right, we're ordering this stuff. I don't know what to think about it, but let's go in. Let's have like she wanted to lose 20 pounds too. I was like, let's do it together and see who can get there the fastest. So I ordered the welcome pack. I didn't tell my husband. I hid the products in my closet under some scarves. He did not know about it for 2 weeks. Andrea's laughing. He would get in the shower in the morning, get ready for class, and I would literally sneak out of my bed, shake up my pink drink it really fast, and like get back in bed before he took a shower. And the man takes quick showers. And so I think I was kind of ashamed that I was trying something that I should get some self-control myself. And then also we really didn't need to be spending the money. That was probably the most truth of it. But 2 weeks in, we were sitting down at breakfast and he made mention that I seemed to have more energy. He said, you seem like more motivated, less moody. And this was the tricker or the kicker. He said, I noticed you haven't had a migraine. And I don't know why that had not dawned on me. I was a chronic migraine sufferer, typically had 1 to 2 migraines a week, and it had been 2 or 3 weeks in and I had not had one. And that really got me thinking. And so that's when I told him what I was doing. I told him about the products that I'd been hiding them from him. Don't recommend that. And that is when I felt like open to be able to start sharing. And so my passion grew for the Plexus products real quick. And so I did start sharing and I got a few customers. I got my first paycheck that came in the mail and it was $240. It was like this big check. And I thought, how many mystery shops would I have to do to earn $240? And it was a heck of a lot. And so that very night I sat down and I looked at our compensation plan and it was intriguing to me. And I thought, this is so different. This is laid out so differently than what I had experienced in the past. I think I'm going to try this. I remember calling up my sponsor and saying, hey, am I understanding this comp plan thing right? Like, this kind of seems a little too good to be true. I don't have to order $500 of product every month. I don't have to house thousands of dollars in inventory. Are we sure about this? And she said, yeah, that's all true. And so you guys, I jumped in. Did I immediately think I was going to be a diamond? No, but my goal was to be an emerald. I remember telling her I will be on that Hawaii trip next year because we didn't really know each other. We were kind of strangers. And I said, I know you don't really know me, but I'm about to go all in on this thing and I'm running. And so I did. I started sharing, I started posting, I started building my Facebook audience. I only had about 250 Facebook friends at the time. And so I started making new connections. I started reconnecting with old people. I wanted everyone to know about these products and about this business opportunity that I saw a lot of potential in. And so, I remember having my yellow legal pad, you guys, and I would write down names. I mean, I remember spending 3 or 4 hours in the library one time writing out all these names of people I was going to reach out to. And so it was everything was going good until about gold. And I got stuck at gold for about 3 or 4 months. And is that a long time? No. In hindsight, absolutely not. I have jewels who were at gold for a year and they're now emeralds in this company. But at the time, there was another girl who we started on the same day, and she was she went like gold in 3 seconds. Like she was far surpassing me. And I started comparing myself to this one person and then looking inward and thinking, I guess I'm not cut out for this. I've reached out to a lot of people. They've said no. I've reached out to some people and they're going with a different network marketing company. I've reached out to some people and they're ignoring me. And so I got to a place, you guys, where I was really discouraged and thought about and threatened to quit. In fact, I've talked about quitting so many different times that my husband actually said to me one time after a couple weeks of this, okay, either quit or quit talking about it. Dang, that was some truth for me. Like, Tamara, either quit or quit threatening to quit and just do it. So you guys, I made a decision that my fear of failure, it wasn't as powerful is my hope in success. There was a lot of fear and I'm seeing some nodding heads. Yes, my fear of failure, although very present, I was allowing that to be an excuse that paralyzed me instead of focusing on what my hope was. And my hope was for my husband to graduate PA school without us having $100,000 in debt that would take us 30 years to pay off. My hope was to continue staying home with my daughter. My hope was to help others fall in love with these products and to have others see this opportunity as a blessing. My hope was to go to Hawaii on Plexus's dime. I had so many hopes wrapped up in this that fear almost took me down. And so I want to encourage you. And if you haven't ever thought about quitting, you might. You maybe think, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Well, it might in the next month. It might in a year, because this business, although simple, it is not easy. It's not easy. There are going to be some hard things. I've experienced a lot of hard things. I have a team, a very large team, who's experienced all kinds of difficult things, but the ones who persevere, they do find a level of success in their business. And so I want to encourage you, if you're having those thoughts, if you've had those thoughts, just continue to persevere and continue to work on yourself and to grow yourself, and do not give up. That is a huge thing I want to say, because the blessings that have come from this business have been unmeasurable for me. The financial flexibility. My dad had Alzheimer's, and he just passed away about a month ago. But he had Alzheimer's, and if it weren't for Plexus, I would not have been able to give him the level of care that my family and I were able to provide for him. And I truly believe that is one of the blessings that God gave me because of my perseverance in this company, even though so many times I wanted to give up. And I continue to work towards those hopes and dreams, and he is blessed. And then in turn, I'm able to bless others. And that's such a gift. And then not only that, but the personal growth. Oh man, Andrea, I'm surprised you liked me back then. This business has absolutely changed me. It has grown me in confidence. It has grown me by being around people that are high caliber and that are strong believers, passionate people, compassionate people, loving people, super smart and wise. Like, it has changed my life in so many ways. But just by being around these people and forming these relationships, it's forced me to be more self-aware of my weaknesses and how I can overcome them, to lead my people better. So much way beyond financial freedom or time flexibility can come from this business. And don't take that lightly. There's so much beauty in that. And I believe that network marketing and leading people and leading a team is a way to really hone in on your strengths and your giftings and be able to allow those to be used in this type of business. And so I get really excited about that. I think a lot of times people look at it and just think, I just want the financial freedom, or I just want the trips, but it's so much more than that. Okay, so I'm going to pause right there before I go into my passionate sentence. This has been rolling around in my mind just to see if anyone has a question they want to ask. If not, that's totally fine. Okay. Nobody? All right. So I'm going to tell you this line that has been running around in my mind, and I've heard it years ago, but for some reason it has just really been ruminating. And it's that everything rises and falls on leadership. Have any of y'all ever heard that quote? Everything rises and falls on leadership. And one thing that I used to say, you guys, all the time that I no longer agree with is that I would say this to people all the time, my team, my new recruits. If you have one person on your team, you are a leader. That's not true. If you have one person on your team, if you have 3 people on your team, you have the potential to be a leader. But leadership comes with intentionality. We aren't just naturally a leader, right? We have to pursue being a leader and actually exhibiting the qualities of leadership. So I just jotted down really quick a few things that I believe are qualities of true leaders. And I just want to say really quick, we all have different strengths and gifts, right? Like the gifts that I have are different than the gifts that Andrea have. We might share a couple, but there's a lot of differences between us as well. Same with Becky. She has some gifts that, oh my gosh, I wish I had, but I don't. But just, we all come with different strengths and different giftings. And that's okay. There is not a one size fits all in this. There is not a magic 5 qualities that you have to be a good leader. Here's another thing. Some people come to the table. You like how I use that, the table? Some people come to the table with more natural giftings than others. And that's just a fact. I have some leaders on my team that have a lot of natural leadership qualities from day one, but they continue to hone in on those and grow those. And then I have some people who had to learn the skills. And I had this conversation with someone this past weekend when we were at the Mastermind Summit, that leadership skills, we were just talking about all the different skills we see in strong leaders. They can be learned. You may have some of them naturally that you're going to capitalize on those and grow those maybe from a strength of a 5 to a strength of a 9, right? And there's going to be others that you can learn. Skill sets can be learned. And that is a beautiful thing. So if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know if I'm a good leader, I don't know if I have those qualities, I want to, number one, if you learn anything I say today, I want you to go to someone that you trust. And I want you to ask them what qualities they see in you as a leader, and then allow them permission to tell you some areas they think you can grow in. Coachability and self-awareness are so crucial in this business, you guys. They are so crucial. Be coachable. Don't have pride where you think, no one's going to tell me what to do, or no one's going to tell me how to do this better. No, the beauty of this business, like I said, we all have different gifts. So go to your people that you trust, Andrea, Becky, Sarah, Wesley, whoever your leaders are that you trust, and say, what do you see in me? What strengths do you see? And what can I do to grow those strengths? And also, where do you see I could grow in? What do you see that I could do a little bit differently? I do this with my people all the time, you guys. And I welcome it with others. I want people to share with me what I can do differently. I am by no means a perfect leader. There is all kinds of areas for me to grow in. And actually, I'm in a growth phase right now. We never arrive. I think Andrea mentioned or Becky in her write-up about me that I'm a top 5 earner. Yes, that's true. But I still look at myself. Just a couple weeks ago, I sat down with myself and I said, self, what can you grow in? And I made a list of things that I could do to take my leadership to the next level, because we never outgrow our leadership. And if we want to continue to grow in this business, whether we're a silver, whether we're a diamond, we have to continue to grow. Okay, so basically that was my first point. Leaders pursue personal development. They desire to grow themselves and their leadership lid. There's personal development and there's also leadership growth. To me, those are two different things. Grow yourself personally in your skill set, and also you're growing your leadership. So I did have a few books I wanted to recommend to you, and maybe you've read them, maybe you haven't, maybe you need to read them again. But leaders, they grow the skills of connection and communication. They grow the skills of influence. You can't ever stop growing, right? Okay, so here's some books. Y'all maybe all being done book studies on these, but this is one of my favorites. John Maxwell, no surprise. Everyone communicates, few connect. There was one girl on my team, this was about 3 years ago, who had a lot of strengths, you guys, but she had not a problem, but she was not a natural connector. And she came and we had a long conversation about it. And she's like, I don't feel like I know how to really connect with people. Like, I feel like I'm always just wanting to tell them what to do, tell them what needs to be done, what action they need to take, like pursue action, action, action. And what we really honed in on was she was missing the connection. And so, yeah, she had some people who were willing to listen that had similar personalities as her, but there was a whole leg of her team that needed to feel connection with their leader, and they didn't. So this is one of the very first books that she read, and I can attest that this gal has grown so much in the skill of connection. And stronger connection means stronger influence. If you are connected to someone, they are so much more likely to want to follow you and to want to be open to hearing your encouragement and what you see in them, what you believe in them, what you think they need to coach to. Connection, connection, connection. Okay. And how to win friends and influence people. Even if you think you're a beautiful connector, I want you to get in your Amazon cart and I want you to order this. Okay. I'm not going to say it's the easiest read. Like, it took me some time to get through this one. I kind of digested it in parts, but it is powerful. So if you feel like you need to grow in some connection and influence, these two books. Okay. This book has been around for how many years? I've probably done 3 or 4 book studies with just this book. It's impactful every time. Again, we have to continue to grow our leadership lid. We can only lead the caliber of people as the caliber of leader that we are. Does that make sense? Did I say that good? Give me some nods. Okay. So if we are wanting and expecting and desiring to pull in high caliber, influential people and leaders, we have to be that as well. Right. And hey, a sure sign of a leader is my desire is to recruit people that are better than me. We've all heard that said, right? Like, I want people who are stronger than me. But in that case, I've got to continue to raise my leadership lid, right? If I'm going to lead those people. So this is another great one. And then we've been doing book studies on this one recently. And I'll admit, I didn't get it when corporate first announced it. But the raves that I heard about it, I was like, I got to get this book. I thought about getting on Audible, and I was talking to a friend about it. And she said, no, get the paperback, because you're going to want to mark through this whole thing. This is some tangible skills, but it also builds influence and connection, because there's some really good tangible things in this. So those are my 4 book recommendations. I'll be honest, I had about 10 books out for you. I was like, okay, let's slow down here. Let's start with 4. And then lastly, I'm sure Becky and Andrea had mentioned this, but Brittany Howard's leadership podcast. If Andrea or Becky, because y'all put in the chat, like what exactly it's called, just in case someone hasn't heard of it, but it's got a lot of really great podcasts about different parts of leadership. It's beautiful. There's so much good meat there, and they're like 20 minutes long. So you can really get some good meaty content in a short period of time. So that is something I've really been giving people that are struggling in that area or just desiring to grow. Okay. So what are you doing to personally develop yourself? Be honest with yourself. What are you doing to personally grow yourself and your leadership? And ask yourself this question. I saw this written out just today and I jotted it down. What do I need to grow in and learn to develop the quality of leaders that I want? What do I need to grow in and learn myself to develop the quality of leaders that I want? And that is a great area, like I said a second ago, to go to someone you trust and say, what do you see? I want to have an honest conversation. There's nothing more beautiful than vulnerability with someone you trust and learning from that. Okay. Spent a lot of time on number one. Wasn't expecting that. Number two, I'll be short on this one. Simple concept. Leaders then apply what they learn. Leaders then apply what they learn and they begin to teach their team those skills. Okay. Most of my little tips here are coming from experience. But I have seen people in my 9.5 years just overwhelm themselves with books and trainings and podcasts and retreats. Okay. I'm thinking of someone specific who's been on like 18 retreats. And every time I have asked, what did you learn? And what are you going to do differently? It's like crickets. Crickets. What did you learn? Oh, so many things. What are you going to implement? I don't know. But it was a really good retreat. Okay. And I'm not mocking this person, but when I had this conversation a year or so ago, it really dawned on me that we can be knowledge pursuers and we can be filling our cup with all the knowledge. But if we never turn around and implement anything that we're learning, process out what we're learning, and then develop something, even if it's just doing a training video for your team. Let me tell you what I learned and how I am learning to develop this skill. That is something I did really early on in my business because there were a lot of skills that I had to learn or grow in. And so as I would fail in that area, and I would pick myself up and say, okay, what can I do differently here? I would then pass that on to my team. A tangible example here. There was a period of time where I've always been a messenger. Like I've done a lot of like prospecting through, no one's asked me about Plexus, but I'm coming to them about the business opportunity. Most of my leaders that I have on my team as level ones have been from me pursuing them. I would say 4, maybe 5 I approached out of the 7 level 1 jewels that I have. Okay. But here's where I lacked. I would not do quality messaging. I did quantity messaging, as in copy and paste to these 50 people on my list in an hour. Oh, goodness. I was not connecting with people. And you know what I ended up doing with one of my top 10 prospects? I copy and pasted a message and I forgot to change her name. So it was like Laura and her name was Sarah. And she wrote back and said, did you mean to send this to somebody else? That's not my name. I was mortified, you guys. And that was a time, that was actually a pivotal time. I was a gold ambassador. Okay. But this stood out to me so much because it changed how I did business. So instead of just trying to reach the masses, and it was coming from a place of anxiety. It was coming from a place of fear. Like if I don't do it now, I'm going to lose the opportunity. And while I'm a big proponent of not hesitating and doing, if you feel a nudge, like doing it and consistently, intentionally pursuing people, you have to come from a place of connection and love, right? And so at that point, I changed the way I did. I started teaching my team quality over quantity. I started teaching them how I was reaching out to people, the verbiage I was using that was getting response. These copy and paste messages were not getting the response. I even went back to people, and this may apply to you. I even went back to several people and apologized and said, listen, I got so caught up in this opportunity that I'm genuinely so excited about when I sent you that message. Here's what I really meant to say. Like basically like humbling myself, sharing the mistake I made, and then really connecting with that person and giving them a true heartfelt, loving message of my belief in them and why I wanted to partner with them in this journey. So that's just one tangible example of a skill that I learned from and then applied and then taught to my team. My threads and team page, they were filled with message examples, not just of reach outs, but follow-ups of closing the deal, of people who weren't responding back to me and how I messaged them and how I got a response. Teaching the skills. That's one simple example, but that's a tangible thing that you can start doing. Maybe you start a hashtag, what I did today, in your team threads. Hopefully you have some team threads where you're really engaging with your leaders. This is something that I do in a couple of my threads with my leaders. Hashtag what I did today. And we start listing out the things that we did intentionally working our business. And not only is there accountability in that, but you're also showing your team, I'm in the trenches with you. I'm doing the things with you. You're inspiring them. You're motivating them. You're giving each other ideas. Like creativity comes from sharing ideas. I see it happen all the time. Someone pops a message they sent in and someone says, oh my gosh, you worded that so beautifully. That reminds me of a girl that message would really fit well with. I'm going to go message her and connect with her based on your example, and then just tweak it to sound like my personality. So much creativity flows through showing your own personal work and applying those skills that you learn. Didn't I say number 2 I was going to be real quick with? And I have 7. Okay, we're going to go faster here. Leaders pursue and recruit high caliber people. Do you have high caliber people that you're pursuing? Do you have those people that you're connecting with? Or are you scared to reach out to those people? Had a conversation with a Sapphire. She's been Sapphire for about a year. Amazing woman, so much influence. We were talking about why she's been Sapphire for a year, because her goal is to be Diamond by July. What did we uncover? She is not approaching the people that she's scared to approach. She is doing low-hanging fruit. Friends that she's comfortable with, couple people from her church, her mom's older friends. Like she's learned, she's earned her Lululemon leggings, but she's recruiting people, but she's not pursuing the people that she's scared to pursue because they feel intimidating to her. Tamara, they have too much influence. They are so powerful in our church. Oh my gosh, she has 20,000 people that follow her on Instagram. Like there's no way she'd be interested in doing this. She has held herself back because of fear of what these high caliber people will feel about her if she approaches them. And so that's what we got to the bottom of. And so she's going to try that the next couple of weeks. She's going to start connecting with people and messaging people and reaching out to these people that she admires and get out of her comfort zone. Nothing good comes from staying in your comfort zone. And if you are always comfortable in this business, I would guess it's very likely that you are not growing. If you're not uncomfortable, it's unlikely that you're really growing. Okay, so we pursue and recruit those people. Leaders have a career mindset versus a victim mindset. Kind of talked about that a little bit earlier with my example of wanting to quit. Okay, so a career mindset, what does that look like? That is the realization that your goal does not have to be met today. Your goal of emerald or diamond, whatever it is, does not have to be met by July 31st. You have a long-term career mindset, regardless of what happens in your business, right? Whether you get ignored, you have someone make fun of you, corporate didn't handle an incentive just like you wanted, what your upline isn't involved enough with you, your downline isn't doing what you think they need to be doing. You have a career mindset for the long-term goal versus a victim mindset, which looks like if my upline would just do X, Y, and Z for me, maybe I'd finally figure out how to do what I'm doing. If my downline would just listen to me and go reach out to people and post about Plexus every day in their stories, maybe something would happen. Basically, it's the difference in, am I taking responsibility for what I can control? Am I taking responsibility for my leadership? Am I taking responsibility for what I'm doing in my business? Am I taking responsibility for how I can motivate my team? Am I taking responsibility for the influence that I'm growing? It's personal responsibility is a career mindset. Victim mindset is blaming any outside sources for your lack of success, or for you feeling stuck, or for you not reaching a goal. That's a little hard for me to say because it feels a little harsh, but I've seen it over and over again. The most successful people on my team, it starts with them. They look at their team, the leadership, the growth, the momentum, it starts with them. They do not blame up or down, but they say, what can I do to motivate, inspire, grow? So that career mindset versus victim mindset. And that might be another thing that you go to that trusted person and you talk through with. Hey, do you see me with a career mindset? Do you see me with a victim mindset? That's not an easy conversation, but I've had it. Uncomfortable, but it produces results. Okay. Awareness. You have to be aware of where you really are to move anywhere different. Okay. Leaders are consistent and committed. They learn from their failings versus quitting because of them. I don't think I have to say anything else about that. They learn from their failings versus quitting because of them. Leaders are intentional with their time. Y'all, productivity is never an accident. Being productive and effective in your business does not come by accident. It is always a result of commitment to excellence, intentional planning, and a focused effort, a self-discipline in your business. Listen, motivation isn't always going to be there, just like with anything else, right? I wish I worked out 3 to 5 days a week. Well, I can sit around and wish it all day long. But if I don't get up and take the action, I'm going to be sitting here still a month later wishing I had some toned calf muscles, right? I mean, truly, if you have a goal and if you have a dream of where you're going to be, you're going to have commitment and consistency, regardless of how you feel. Motivation, that's how you feel in the moment. You have a good training, you're fired up. You go to convention, you're excited. But what happens when that excitement dwells a little bit? That's when self-discipline and commitment kicks in. And that is what is going to move the needle, you guys. It's not motivation. It's your action, your self-commitment, your self-discipline to do the things regardless of how you feel. Okay, 2 more. Leaders inspire their teams to action. Leaders communicate their vision, their goals for themselves and their team. And that sets the pace, you guys. That determines where your team is headed. If they do not have vision, they don't know where they're going. And that's up to you. Again, whether you're silver, whether you're diamond, have you ever shared with your team your vision for the month, your vision for 2023, the vision you have for your own personal business, and then inviting them to partner in that so that you're all pursuing the same goal, the same vision for your business? Okay. Lastly, there's so many more, but I jotted down my favorite 7. Leaders build culture. I saved this one for last. I'm so passionate about this. I was flying home from a leaders retreat several years ago, and I read a line in a book, Millionaire by Halftime, that said the difference in a team of 100 and a team of 10,000 is culture. And I thought, man, what kind of culture am I creating? Because here's the deal. Culture will be created. So it's either going to create itself or you're going to be intentional about what you create. And so I pulled out my list and I started just writing down everything I wanted in my team culture. And then I set out to build it. So as an example, personal development was one of the top things in what I wanted my team culture to look like. So what does that mean? I can't just hope people will do personal development, right? No, I began immersing myself and then again, teaching the skills like I shared. People will be excited about the things that you're excited about. People will be energized by the things that energize you. And so I would share, I just listened to this podcast. I just listened to this training. Here's what I took from it. And then incentivize other people doing it. Another one on mine was a team of encouragement and cheerleading. So I started encouraging more, cheerleading more to create that culture of encouragement and cheerleading. Team of accountability. Set out to do partner people, accountability partners. Y'all, my team is spread with people that have sideline accountability partners. Such a crucial part in this business, which is one of the reasons, like Andrea mentioned in the beginning, that I pursued her. It was her, Melissa Eichenhorst, and Rebecca Folks and Nikki Hinkle were the people that I saw things in that I wanted to possess myself. And I thought, these girls have some strengths that I want to have myself. And so I pursued relationships with them. It doesn't have to be someone even within your immediate team. Most of my closest friends are not within my team in Plexus. I have so many outside influences on my leadership and on my business way outside of Tamara's downline. Okay. And so accountability was one of the things I wanted my team to have culture. Y'all heard me talk about it. Prospecting, intentional prospecting was how I worded it. So that's when I started sharing my messages, sharing what I was doing that day, sharing who I was reaching out to, sharing that I was scared to reach out to this person, but look what I did. Look what I said. Look how she responded. Look how I responded back. I wanted that to be a part of my culture. So if you want to create culture within your team, list out what you want to see in your team. 5 things, 10 things, and then set out to create that. It can be done because culture will be created whether you intentionally create it or not. So be intentional with that because it's so, so important and can affect the momentum and culture of your team for years to come, People will do what you don't do and people will do what you do. Right? That's not like a super smart sentence, but it's so true. They will duplicate what they see or they will duplicate what they don't see. And I've seen that in my business over the years. So be intentional. Okay, y'all, I'm basically out of breath because I talked way too much. But I get really passionate, you guys. I get really fired up. So Andrea, do you want to add anything to what I said or any thoughts?
Beck's gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a second? When do you have to be like?
I have a couple minutes.
Okay. Because I have some intentional questions. I've been able to experience just a small portion of one of your diamond retreats. Tamara lives about like 20 minutes from me. How many diamonds do you have on your team?
Oh my. Probably 20.
Mm-hmm. So I want y'all to hear that for a reason, because now I want to ask this question. Can you talk about how you personally have pursued the high caliber? Because I will say this, and I say this, I'm your friend, but even if I wasn't your friend, I would say this. Tamara has some of the most high caliber leaders on her team. It's like high caliber begets high caliber. So Tamara, what was some of your messaging and reach outs, and even what were some of your rejections like when you started? Because you've been developing leaders, like it's not like you got all your leaders in 2014.
No.
You've had fresh people coming on the whole time. So talk about your reach outs, messagings, and rejections.
Yeah. So some of the people who, oh God, there's so many who said no to me at first. Jessica Heffley was one. Emily Burgess. She said no to me numerous times. But they were people that were on my dream team list, and they were people that I was not willing to give up on. In fact, Becky, I'm sitting here thinking about what you asked, and Emily wrote up a huge long post one time because people wanted to know how I pursued her and what that actually looked like. And so she went back from years ago and literally wrote out all of my pursuing of her and her responses to me and how that looked over a 4-year period of time. And so if I can find that, I'm going to send that to y'all so you can share it with your team, because I feel like that would give more of an in-depth look. But that said, it was always a goal of mine to pursue really amazing people that I saw qualities in that I admired, respected, wanted to have myself. And so those were the people, when I mentioned, like going after the scary people, I was scared to death. Emily laughs at this now. I was scared to death to pursue her, because to me, she was like the it girl. She was beautiful. She was well connected. She was a lover of people in such a beautiful way. But I reached out to her when I was a gold ambassador. I sent her a catalog. I sent her a ton of products. I sent her a handwritten letter that I spent probably an hour on, just really pouring out to her what I saw in her and what I believed about her and why I wanted to partner with her. She threw away every single thing except for the card. And she still has that card today. Just a couple of days ago, she messaged me and said, I am just so grateful for your continued belief in me. Because if you hadn't had such strong belief in me, I don't think I ever would have actually tried this for myself. It was your belief in me that I didn't see in the beginning that gave me the confidence that I could actually do something with this. And so I'm not sure if that answers your question, Becky, but just like the long pursuit of people. I am not one who gives up when I'm told no. And like you said, I was having this conversation at Mastermind that all my leaders did not come in like within a year. They were very staggered. Jessica Heffley joined me 3 months after I went Emerald. Megan Garrity joined me 2 months after I went Emerald. Whitney Ward joined me like 3 or 4 months after I went Diamond. Emily Burgess joined me after I'd been Diamond for 2 years. So it was a very long process of connecting and continuing to grow myself and fill my funnel with new people as I was waiting, hoping, and pursuing these people to join me. Does that answer your question, Becky, or no?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And we're getting some people asking, what are some of just a couple top qualities that you look for in your high caliber prospecting?
Yeah. So people of influence. And what I mean by that is really simple, like watching their Facebook posts, right? Like I remember looking at Emily's page and she would make some comment about what dinner she made. And there was 50 comments. I'm like, when I talk about my recipes, I get a couple likes. Who is this girl? And so just watching who she was, her authentic self, people were so drawn to her. I was drawn to her. And so looking at people and thinking, there's someone I want to be friends with. There's someone that I admire for X, Y, and Z quality. For me, it was important to see someone that was authentic and genuine, that loved the Lord, person who inspired others. Because we can inspire people in all different ways, right? She was inspiring people with her humor, with her recipes, with her, she is like a bargain shopper, with sharing her bargains she found at the thrift store and how she reframed this dresser and made it beautiful, like it came out of a farmhouse. She inspired people. And I watched that and I watched that. This is even before Plexus. She was number one on my list when I joined. If I could pick one person, that's who I want on my team. And so that is one thing. And then also someone who I had seen be successful in other endeavors, not necessarily business, but just successful in life, successful in their marriage, successful in raising their kids, having a leadership position at a church, or seeing that they lead a Bible study, just people that showed signs of leadership that was not anything to do with business, but just leadership in life. Those qualities that would stand out. Those are probably the two most important things, natural leadership and then influence. And a lot of times when you see those people who have those natural leadership qualities and they're influential, they're self-starters. Those are the people who you don't have to constantly motivate. They are motivated themselves. Okay, so real quick on Emily. When she joined, it was before she clicked join, we had talked numerous times on the phone, kind of preparing for her join. She already had her list ready. She already had her first several posts ready. Like, she was ready to run with this business on day one. And a lot of that had to do with kind of like dropping little nuggets and kind of just sprinkling her with things along the way. So that when she was ready, her belief was sky high with what Plexus could do in the business and in the products. I was constantly sharing testimonies with her. I wanted her coming in with a strong belief, because when we have strong belief, we are much more likely to run and not get discouraged so quickly, because our belief is leading that way.
I love that, Tamara. I mean, I've taken so many notes. I've texted so many of my people who weren't on this call and been like, you have to watch the recording. I don't say this to puff you up. Tamara's very humble and she's very frugal for being, as I'm just going to say it, as wealthy as she is because of Plexus. She is one of my most money conscious friends, and I admire it so much. So let me just remind you, Tamara's got a lot of trainings on YouTube. I said back in the day, before you were my friend, I watched a lot of your YouTube training videos. I really appreciate you giving of your time. And y'all, if you end up with some questions that come up later, we can always ask her, but I just encourage you guys to really, especially take the questions about application of what you're learning, how you apply as what you're learning as a leader. I think that's huge. That's the action is the difference between like a wish and a goal. So yeah. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, you got something else?
One more thing I want to respond to Wesley. She said, I pursue people like that for the products and the health, but not for the business. And she says, which is silly, because the business has blessed my life just as much, if not more, than the products have. So one thing I think to just ingest within yourself, I'm talking to everybody here and to my team. If we want to build a business, we have to talk about the business, right? If we want to build a strong business, we have to be willing to share, even if it's uncomfortable. It is so much easier to share the products. Am I right? Even me, 9.5 years in, I lead with the business. It's still hard sometimes to lead with the business because sometimes it can be uncomfortable, because I never want anyone to think that I'm out to help myself. Right? I want people to forget that this has anything to do with me, that if they join and they start working it, this is not about me. It's about blessing their life. And so when I'm approaching people, I'm going with the mindset of, I'm going to help bless them. I'm going to help lead and guide them to the blessings in their life. So you better bet I'm going to share about this business opportunity, instead of, like I see so often, y'all, they approach the business with timidity or apologetically. If you're approaching someone about the business apologetically, and that comes out in your verbiage, I promise you, I have looked at tons of messages on my team when I'm helping people get unstuck, and there is a tone of apologetic. It may come across like, if you want to hear more, then I would love to share more with you. Or, if you have questions about this, then, I'm here. No, you got to approach them with strength and confidence. And maybe you have to pump yourself up a little bit before you send those messages. I have people like that on my team. They feel apologetic, but they don't want to come across apologetic. And so they get their mindset right before they approach people. Right? And so you have to have that confidence in what you're sharing. And my biggest advice to you in that, if you don't feel confident, is to get as many testimonies you can about how this business has changed people's life. And I'm not just talking about jewels, you guys. I have people on my team who are making $500 a month that it has changed their life because it covers their mortgage or their car payment. And I say that I know we hear that a lot. I'm not being cliche here. Like, that is the truth. I have hundreds of people on my team who the $500 to $1,000 mark, that is financial success. So you need to build your mind up with belief about how this business changes people's lives. So when you approach people, it comes from a place of love and confidence and excitement that you want to help bless them. If you want to build a business, you got to share the business.
Well, we could probably, I mean, like the comments keep blowing up. We could keep up your time for a lot longer. I know you've got to go. And I really, really appreciate just your passion for teaching and training. And I love that you said you're in a growth season as well. I hope everyone heard that. Tamara's in this different season now, whereas she's leading so many others, and she continues. It's not like she's just pieced out, you know, she continues to build herself and grow as a leader. I really am thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for so many of y'all that asked questions or commented as well. And we will post the recording. And I will remind you, if you're on the table, we have 2 power hours tomorrow. One's at 9:30 a.m. It's the last day of the month, last day of the shortest month. March is coming. That means momentum is building. You are in momentum. You need to capture it. So 2 power hours, 9:30 a.m. Central Time, 8:30 p.m. on our Tuesday link. It's all on our team page. Tam, we love you. Thank you. The rest of y'all,
Thank you for
we
having
love
me.
you. Have a great day, guys.